that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon.
It's been over 50 years since Neil Armstrong set foot on the lunar surface. We've had 5 decades of wondering when and if we were going to return. Events this week have convinced me and excited me that we are not only returning, we're returning soon, and then on to Mars. In this video I'm going to tell you why I'm so excited and why I'm so convinced that within 5 years we're going to see fresh footprints on the lunar surface, and within my own lifetime see people living on Mars. I'm also going to tell you why there are some very earthbound reasons why we're returning and some very extraterrestrial reasons. Obviously a lot of people believe all these images and our first trip to the moon was completely faked. I'll admit, I was a believer in the faked moon conspiracy for a long time myself. If I'm really honest, I'm not still 100% convinced we ever did go to the moon, but that's for another video.
I'm going to step off the limb now. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So what's changed? Well, in the last few years we've seen the emergence of companies like SpaceX. This really has commercialised the space race. But also, there have been a few other changes that have meant we now want to return to the moon. Many of those changes are financial. For example, a lot of the metals and materials that we use in a lot of our modern technology and in a lot of batteries are just quite rare on the Earth. We may actually need to go out into space to mine these materials if we want to keep our modern technological future going. The truth is, the first space race was about national pride. This space race may be about wealth and resources. And China is very much in the same race. NASA have pledged to put men and women back on the moon by 2024 as part of the Artemis project. They're building the Orion capsule and their new heavy lift rocket, but they're not the only ones involved. This is SpaceX launching its Falcon 9 rocket with a Dragon capsule with 4 crew members on board going up to the ISS. This is the first commercial mission to go up to the International Space Station and deliver astronauts. Really get a sense that this is a modern venture, modern spacesuits, modern space capsule. It really is, the 21st century moon mission.
In just a couple of minutes, we should see that second stage separate and Crew Dragon will be flying free. Monitoring their journey to the International Space Station and where they are in the world right now, or over the world, I should say.
So now there's some healthy private competition in the space race. And China are also getting in on the act. But what else has been announced this week? Well, one really incredible thing that sort of slipped under the radar was that NASA and the US Department of Energy have sought permission to build a fission surface power system, or this nuclear reactor to go on the moon. Now, this will be built on the Earth and sent up to the moon on the rocket. I do not want to be the health and safety guy for that launch. Now, the SpaceX mission this week has been impressive and got all the headlines. But these plans to build a nuclear reactor for the moon, well, that is what really tells me how serious these guys are about going back and going back soon. So why do they need several nuclear reactors for the moon and then eventually Mars? Well, one big reason, and in fact a big reason why this space race has been triggered again, is the confirmation that there is billions of gallons of water on the moon. We've known that it was there for years, but now we know exactly where it is and exactly how much there is. But to really use the water for what we would want, you need to be able to use large amounts of electricity to separate it into its components of hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen for fuel and oxygen for us to breathe. Once we can get access to all that hydrogen and oxygen, we can then start planning the real goal, a mission to Mars using the moon as a leap pad. Now, there are other people that believe all this effort has been triggered not by financial or political reasons, but by something far more extraterrestrial. Scott C. Waring is a YouTuber that makes some quite dramatic claims. His most recent claims are that these photos are 100% proof that alien bases exist, potentially ancient alien bases that have been there for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, these images are really interesting and worth investigation, but do they 100% prove anything? No, of course not. And he is, of course, not alone. John Lear here, friends with Bob Lazar and others, believe that there have been mining operations on the moon for years, and that, well, humans and aliens are already exploiting the lunar surface. Is it possible that we are in a race with China to go and try to exploit these newly discovered alien bases? Maybe this is why we're so determined to militarize space. Some ask, why haven't we been back to the moon in 50 years? We have the technology. Some have argued that it's because alien races on the lunar surface told us not to return. If that's the case, though, you have to wonder, and you have to ask the question, what's changed? Why are they now letting us return to the moon? So, the way I see it is that doesn't seem likely. It's more likely that even though we had the technology in '69 to go to the moon, we didn't really have the technology to do it safely. And now we do. But like so much in human endeavour, we may end up being motivated by the financial gain. But one thing is for certain, within the next decade, there will be an operational moon base. There will be an operational space station called Gateway, orbiting the moon, acting as a go-between between the surface and coming back to Earth. And that within our lifetime, we will begin mining not just the moon, but potentially Mars and maybe even the Kuiper Belt, for our ever-growing need for resources. So, are there alien bases on the moon, ancient or potentially even still inhabited? It would actually be logical for me. Assuming aliens are visiting the Earth, maybe they would need some sort of staging area, somewhere well out of view, somewhere they wouldn't need to hide. It does make sense. And maybe that's why it's took us 50 years to return. Maybe when we went to the moon, the aliens demanded that we didn't return until they were able to vacate the property. So, going back to JFK's great speech, we go to the moon not just because it's easy, but because it's hard. And we go to the moon for the betterment of mankind, and then mine the crap out of it.